Baker Mayfield, I would say mediocre in that game overall. Should he shoulder any of the blame for the loss?
I don't think so, Robin. I would put it all on his coaching staff, on Lincoln Riley. You look at those last 4 possessions especially, last 2 of regulation and the final 2 in overtime. He didn't have a chance to win that game. And I realized the second half, Georgia changed things up a lot defensively. The first half was fantastic for OU. Second half, they went to man, and they looked much better using their bigger defensive backs against Oklahoma's wide receivers. But still, you have the Heisman Trophy winner. You want to win this game. The first overtime, they kick a field goal. You score a touchdown. You're going to the national title game, and you don't use your Heisman winning quarterback. I just have a problem with that. You've got to go with what got you there. And what got you there was Baker Mayfield, the right arm, the scrambling, everything that guy brings to the table, and they didn't give him a chance to do that. And that's disappointing for Lincoln Riley.
Most total yards in a season ever, Oklahoma history, best passer rating ever, college football. Where does Baker Mayfield fall in the pantheon now that his career's over there of all-time college greats?
For me, he's the best college quarterback I've seen. I don't like commenting on guys that came around before I was alive or didn't get to watch. But for me, the best college quarterback I've seen, 3 Big 12 titles, 2 trips to the college football playoff in the first 3 years. It's something that I think we're going to look back on and say this was a guy that transcended the game a little bit because of his ability to not just, we've seen scramblers like Johnny Manziel, but he was a guy who was a thrower first and then a runner, and people don't give him enough credit for that. They look at him and they say, well, he's just another Oklahoma quarterback who runs some option and likes to get out of the pocket and then run. No, he always went through his progressions, but then he could run when he wanted to. He was never given enough credit, I think, for his deep ball abilities, which you saw some of last night, and I think he's going to go on to the NFL and have a pretty darn good career.
A talented guy, but he does wear his emotions on his sleeve. And after that Georgia comeback, linebacker Davin Bellamy yelled to him, humble yourself, be humble. I mean, how does this game and this perception, he was seen saying it's over in the first quarter. What's the perception of him, and does this affect his draft stock at all?
I think, Madeline, Baker Mayfield is who he is, and part of the reason that he has had this kind of success is because he wears those emotions on his sleeve. He walked on at Texas Tech as a freshman, won the starting job. He had to walk on at Oklahoma, and then he beat out Trevor Knight for that job. This is a guy who has a massive chip on his shoulder and is not the most talented necessarily, but he's gotten by on grit, on passion, and on will. And that's what makes Baker Mayfield who he is, and that's part of his legacy that he leaves at Oklahoma.